Have you ever felt, I mean, truly felt, like a pusulazes bir gemi? It's a Turkish phrase. It means a ship without a compass. You're just adrift on this huge, indifferent ocean. I think we all know that feeling. You're constantly being pushed by currents, work deadlines, what people expect on social media, just the pressure of keeping everyone happy. And then suddenly you look up and the destination is just gone.
You're reacting, not navigating.
Exactly. Your whole existence is just reacting.
Well, that feeling of being adrift, that really deep human need for direction, for some kind of stability, that's precisely what the sources we have today get into.
Okay.
We're doing a deep dive into the Fatiha Surah. It's the opening chapter of the Qur'an. And for a practicing Muslim, this chapter is recited at least 40 times a day.
40 times.
Yeah.
A day. I mean, if you commit to anything with that kind of frequency, there's a real risk of it becoming what the sources call an automatia balanmush bir dekeleme.
Just an automatic recital.
Yeah, just religious muscle memory. It loses its life, its meaning.
And that is the central tension we have to explore today. Our mission is to really understand how this source material transforms that mechanical repetition into something genuinely dynamic.
Right.
It becomes an essential hayat pusulasit, we'll call it the life compass, a duruf biyanya, which is like a declaration of your stance.
Yeah.
And it holds the very codes of our existence. We're unpacking that shift from just saying words to, a conscious daily commitment.
Okay, let's unpack this then. To start, I think the most surprising fact the sources reveal is that the Fatiha isn't a monologue. You're not just, listing your needs to the divine.
No, not at all.
It's structured as a conversation, a reciprocal, live conversation.
And what's fascinating here is the evidence the sources actually cite for this. They point to a hadith qudsi,
which is a divine saying, right, where the words are God's own.
Exactly. And in it, God confirms, I have divided the prayer, the Fatiha, into two halves between myself and my servant. So that's the theological bedrock. It means every single time you recite it, you're not just performing a routine.
You're engaging in a live discussion.
A live, ongoing discussion.
Okay, that immediately changes the stakes. So if the Fatiha is split in two, one half for the divine, one for the worshiper, how does the worshiper start their side of the conversation? What's the opening line?
Well, the first half is all about recognition and praise. The sources call this the divine dimension. And your opening statement is about recognizing God's absolute attributes.
Okay.
But crucially, the sources call this first part an education in knowing one's limits. A hadimi bilame eitimi. So before you can ask for anything, you have to establish the context. You have to know who you're talking to.
I see. So it's not just a polite hello. It's like clearing the spiritual static, establishing a proper connection before you sign a massive contract.
Precisely. This recognition phase builds the foundation of trust and hope. The worshiper starts by praising God as Rahman and Rahim, the boundless, eternal source of mercy and compassion. So this builds a relationship based on confidence, on hope. If you truly believe in infinite mercy, you can approach with, sincerity and real expectation.
But if you just stop there, if you only focus on the mercy, that confidence could pretty easily slide into arrogance, couldn't it? How is that balanced in the opening?
And that is the essential pivot. That confidence has to be balanced with accountability.
Okay.
The conversation immediately continues by acknowledging the master of the day of judgment. And that shifts the mood instantly. It evokes this necessary feeling of awe. The sources use the word urprami, sort of trembling, a realization of responsibility.
So you start with infinite hope, then immediately temper it with ultimate accountability.
Exactly. You acknowledge the source of infinite mercy, which draws you close, but you simultaneously acknowledge the source of absolute justice, which ensures every single action, every intention has a reckoning. And that preparation, that deep dual understanding of both hope and awe, it's essential before the worshiper can make the ultimate commitment.
That opening sequence just sets the stage for massive stakes. We've acknowledged the mercy, we've acknowledged the justice, and we've established our position.
Right.
And this moves us straight into the centerpiece, the declaration. And this is where it gets really, really interesting, because we're at what the sources call the intersection point, the moment of the covenant.
Yes. If the first half was about identifying who's talking and setting the tone, this center verse is the formal signing of the contract.
And that verse is?
In English, it translates to, only you we worship, and only from you we seek help.
It's an incredibly succinct statement, but the sources give it this immense weight, like a cosmological event.
They do. They describe it as the universe's greatest confession and covenant. And its importance lies in this dual commitment that affects every single moment of your life. First, it's the declaration of Tevhid, the absolute unity of God.
Nothing shares his authority.
Nothing. And second, which is maybe practically more difficult, it's the total absolute rejection of shirk, of associating any partners with God.
And this is where it becomes really tangible for us, for the listener. Because rejecting partners isn't just about ancient idols. It's about the practical idols we serve every day.
Absolutely. This is the core instruction for using that life compass. The sources are clear. This covenant demands that you actively devour, that you dismantle, you overthrow the false idols in your daily life.
And they're explicitly named.
They are money, status, ego, and the approval of others.
Wow. Let's just focus on those four because they are the foundation of almost every modern insecurity, every ambition. If I'm saying, only you we worship 40 times a day, I am committing 40 times a day to tear down the very things our society screams at us to build up.
It's a continuous radical act of spiritual purification, of self-liberation. I mean, take the idol of approval. In our world, we are constantly looking for validation, the likes, the praise from our peers, that dependence, that fear of what other people think. It enslaves us. When you declare only you we worship, you're declaring that only one source of approval actually matters, and that instantly frees you from the tyranny of the crowd.
So dismantling the idol of status, the makam, would be about focusing on the quality of your work, not the title you have.
Yeah.
And with money, it becomes a tool, a trust, not a master you have to serve endlessly.
Precisely. And the ego. The ego is the most insidious one. It tells you that you are enough on your own, that you don't need help.
Right.
But the second half of that verse is, only from you we seek help. By tearing down these false idols, you gain true freedom. You declare your total dependence and sincerity. It's captured in this powerful phrase, I have no other door, my Lord. It's the ultimate statement of reliance, of liberation from these prisons we build for ourselves out of ambition and fear.
That's a really powerful climax to the covenant. So the contract is signed. We've acknowledged God's power and mercy. We've pledged to overthrow these modern idols. So what's the one thing, the most valuable thing we ask for in the final verses? What destination are we finally allowed to set on our compass?
This is the second half of the dialogue, what the sources call the human dimension. And the wisdom here is, it's just profound. After that immense declaration, the request isn't for wealth or health or some temporary success. The ultimate, most critical request is simply for direction, for istiqamet. Guide us to the straight path.
Why direction over everything else? I mean, we usually ask for tangible things, solutions to our immediate problems. Why is the path itself the real treasure?
Because the sources stress that the correct direction is the single most valuable thing you can possess. Think about it. If you're wealthy but you have no direction, you'll just waste your money, probably hurt yourself or others.
True.
If you're healthy but have no direction, all that energy gets spent on trivial or even destructive things. But if you have the correct direction, if your compass is truly set on that straight path, everything else just falls into its proper place.
So the straight path, the Sirat al-Mustaqim, it's not just a route on a map. It's more like a moral and operational template for living.
It is an active state of being. The sources describe it as the path of those who've earned favor, who maintain the covenant, not the path of those who've gone astray or who knowingly rebel.
Okay.
So that request for the straight path, that's the core mechanism of the life compass. You're asking for the ability to maintain your spiritual alignment, even when the storms of life are trying to push your ship off course.
Which brings us perfectly back to where we started. The contrast between just an automatic recital and the Fatiha as a life compass. If I want to make this conscious, what does that actually require me to feel?
It requires a deep, almost visceral consciousness in every word. It turns recital into action. It demands that when you get to praise be to God, you actually feel gratitude, Shakur, for the very breath you're taking.
I'd have to be genuine, not just words.
Not rote at all. And then when you move past the praise, it demands that when you declare master the day of judgment, you don't just hear the words. You remember that great court of accountability we talked about.
Yeah.
You feel that essential sense of awe and responsibility.
It turns the whole thing from a religious exercise into active spiritual self-governance.
It's a daily mandatory check-in with your spiritual GPS. You're ensuring the covenant is still intact, that the idols are still dismantled.
The continuous maintenance of the ship, the map, and the compass. And if you miss that consciousness, you're reciting the words of a contract you have no intention of keeping.
And that's the entire risk. Our sources summarize the danger perfectly, bringing back that metaphor. A life without this conscious fatiha is exactly like that ship without a compass, adrift,
Just waiting to crash.
just waiting to see which current drags it to shore. The whole purpose of this daily dialogue is to make sure the ship of your life stays securely on that straight path, always steering by the knowledge that you have no other refuge, no other door than the one you committed to.
What an incredible analysis.
Yeah.
So we've really revealed the Fatiha as this dynamic three-part journey. You start with recognizing divine authority and mercy. Then you move to declaring this binding covenant of unity, which forces you to overthrow false idols. And you end by getting the one thing you really need, direction for life.
And the core lesson for you, for the listener, is that this entire dialogue is renewed with every single reading. It's never just a repetition. Every time you open this chapter, it's an immediate chance to recalibrate your compass, check your route, and recommit to the contract you signed.
The sources really urge us to decide if, when we read, we're just reciting a map someone else drew, or if we're actively controlling the compass, setting our own course. So in your next conscious reading, will you let those powerful words just be an automatic echo? Or will you actively check your life compass, confirm your place on the straight path, and really actively identify and overthrow those false idols, the dependence on money, status, ego, the need for approval that clutter up your journey? That difference between recital and covenant, well, it defines the rest of your voyage.